Hello, baseball lifers. Happy Thursday night to you. Tomorrow's TGIF Friday, and we're just a week away from opening day. And now you're going to be getting more and more updates from me with opening day on the horizon. We'll be doing more than just team previews, spotlighting the big stories of the day, key games, etc. So you'll be seeing a lot of me if you choose to. And by God, I hope you do. But one topic I want to cover today is Matt Harvey. Who would have thought Matt Harvey would be going up north with the Baltimore Orioles? But yes, the Orioles said they are purchasing his contract from the minor leagues, and he will be the fifth starter for the Baltimore Orioles. And that is so good to see. Uh, as most of you know, I'm a big Met fan, and Matt Harvey's one of those guys. I think for a lot of us Met fans, we've grown to like Matt even more since he's had to go through all these struggles and has been with different teams. That's one guy we just follow. Don't ask me why. We just want to see the guy succeed. I think there's a little guilt complex because maybe the arm injury he had when the two injuries he had, and maybe going too far in Game 5 of the 2015 World Series. He was never the same after that. So there's always a soft spot in our hearts for Matt Harvey. Now, I'll be honest with you. At first, I wasn't a big Matt Harvey fan. I thought he had a big head. Uh, and believe it or not, he was the ace of the Mets staff. He was ahead of DeGrom and Syndergaard. And he was looked upon as being perhaps another Tom Seaver for the Mets. And he had the stuff. He had a hard fastball. I mean, maybe not the fastest pitcher in any starting rotation, but he threw his hard. He was definitely in the top 10 of guys who threw very hard. And he had good stuff. And it was just a pleasure to watch him. Every fifth day was Harvey Day, and the Dark Knight took the mound. Now, he kind of reminds me like Mark Fidrich because he didn't even win 40 games with the Mets, and this is over a 4 or 5 year period, but yet we loved him. I mean, despite his ego and his play, he wanted to be the next Joe Namath, doing it all on the New York scene. And there's nothing wrong with that when you're young. You just have to make sure you show up and play. And believe me, I'm one who's made a few mistakes with nightlife too, so I'm not one to throw stones at Matt Harvey. I know what it's like, and if I was in his shoes, I probably would have done the same thing. But I think he could have reined it in a little bit as a Met and taken better care of himself. And I think Sandy Alderson, to some degree, once said, Matt Harvey is Matt Harvey. There's nothing you can do. Matt Harvey's going to do what Matt Harvey wants to do. And I think that act wore thin, especially after the second surgery, and he wasn't performing as well. The Mets had a shorter leash for him, and there wasn't really a need to keep him. So he was traded to Cincinnati, and not much in return. They got a catcher that lasted a year with the Mets, but it's sad that everyone thought when you had Wheeler, Harvey, Wheeler's now with the Phillies, Syndergaard, and DeGrom, this was going to be the staff for the next 5-10 years, and it just didn't work out. And unfortunately, in baseball, that happens most of the time. So you always hope 1 out of 3 maybe stick and do well, and DeGrom's more than compensated for the loss of Harvey, that's for sure. And Syndergaard's done okay, except he's now out with the arm problems. And Zach Wheeler, he gave him a good half year or so, and that was about it. But back to Matt Harvey. He wasn't really lighting up. His last outing, I think, is the one that convinced the Orioles to keep him. He had a 5.40 ERA in 3 spring training appearances, and he allowed 6 runs and 10 hits in 10 innings with 6 strikeouts and 1 walk. Now, that's not much to write home about, but I guess his last performance, he did very, very well. I think he pitched like 4, maybe 5 innings, and maybe 4 hits and no walks or whatever, but he did well. My concern with Matt Harvey is the fact that he is giving up a lot of home runs now that his fastball isn't as good as it used to be, and that is a big concern. And his ERA has just skyrocketed since, in 17 it was 6.70 in 92 innings pitched. In 18 with two teams, he was a 4.94 combined. With the Angels in 2019, he threw 59 innings. His ERA was 7.09. And last year with the Royals, he didn't pitch that much, but how many innings did he pitch? He pitched 11 innings and an ERA 11.57. So the last three seasons have been nothing to write home about for Matt. And he's really going to have to show that he can do it. And most analysts are saying his ERA this year will probably be over 5. But the key is he is going to get his chance. And no better team to get a chance with the Orioles. They're going nowhere. And maybe Matt Harvey can become a third or fourth starter and just reinvent himself. He just has to be given the shot, I think. Whether or not it works out, I can only hope so, but we shall see. But like I said, the thing that concerns me is he's just given up way too many home runs. 2017, he gave up 2.04 homers per 9 innings, 19, 1.96, and that's just home runs. That's not runs or hits, or that's home runs. And that's going to kill you all the time. And his left on base percentage really decreased through the years. 2012 and 2013 and 14 was with the Mets and on fire. The highest left on base percentage he had was 81.3. So 1 out of 5 runners were maybe scoring on Harvey. But in the last few years, it's gone down as low as 61.2%, 69.6%. And that's just going to be you're going to have a turnstile runners coming home all the time. They're just going to be coming one after another, and that's not a good thing. His hard hit ball percentage has gone up through the years, so all the numbers aren't looking well. But there's something in me that says Matt Harvey's a bulldog, and I personally want to root for him. I mean, he was an all-star with the Mets in 2013. He was derailed by Tommy John surgery in 2013. And he had the operation in 2016 to correct thoracic outlet syndrome. And he gave it all in 2015, the Mets playoffs and their drive to the World Series. And like I said, he left it all on the field. He wanted the ball. It's not like Matt's not a competitor. He's a bulldog. And like I said, that'll always be second guess. It's like Johan Santana's attempt to pitch a no-hitter with the Mets, which he was successful at, but he pitched way too many pitches. And maybe Matt just pitched too many pitches in that game. But at the time, what are you going to do? The guy wanted the ball, and he was pitching well up to that point. And you can second guess till the cows come home, whether or not that affected him in the long term or not. But I sure hope not. Maybe it was just one of these things. It was a coincidence. But like I said, Met fans, I think since Matt left, appreciated everything he did for them. And like I said, a lot of Met fans still root for Matt. He had a 34-37 record with the Mets, 3.66 ERA until he was traded in 2018. So he was there for a long run. But he had the Jacob deGrom snake bit syndrome where they just weren't scoring for him when he was the ace. And that's just been the Mets' way. From the days of Tom Seaver to Jacob deGrom to Matt Harvey, it seems like the Mets just don't score when their ace is on the mound. But he is going to be in Major League Baseball, at least in the beginning of the year, and is in the starting rotation for the Orioles. So I'm rooting for him. I think it's going to be an interesting story to follow. And I just want to wish Matt the best of everything. He's 32 now, so, this is it. This could be the final curtain. It's going to sound like Frank Sinatra in my way, but I hope things do go Matt Harvey's way. So good luck, Matt, and I'm wondering how you guys feel about all this. Feel free to leave a comment. If you like the video, please hit like. And if you want to subscribe to all the videos I do, as I said, I run a Facebook group, Baseball Way of Life. If you want to join that, please do. One of these videos is always there, but all the videos I do all the time are always posted here. So thank you again for viewing. I really do appreciate it. Have a good night. Play ball. And for now, adios.